All right, let's try this again. Hey everyone. Welcome to Group 5's Nigerian product proposal. I'll be talking about how we can best conduct a new business in Nigeria. When comparing the culture of Nigeria to the US through the lens of Hofstede's dimensions, the biggest differences shown are in power distance and individualism. Since Nigeria has a greater power distance compared to the US, they won't want the hierarchy to change, and they will be content to allow those who are in greater power to have the most control. Nigeria is also a much more collective culture than the US, and has more of the mindset of a group than Americans do. So when working with the Nigerian people, we should plan to approach things in a way that will be more group-centered than individualistic. Different styles of communication are employed by different countries for a few different situations. There are scales for communication cultural in general, feedback, confrontation, and scheduling practices. Low context cultures say exactly what they mean, while high context cultures require reading between the lines to get the true message. Sometimes like conversations with the spouse. This is important to know while doing business in Nigeria so we can be on the lookout for hidden messages in communication. The other big difference, scheduling practices, reveals how a culture goes about a big project, whether it be sequentially or multiple things handled at once. Those with a flexible mindset like Nigeria have a relaxed view of time, and that could be a potential frustration to the company. So be ready to start early and make agreements where both parties are aware of what is expected of a project. When Nigerians negotiate, they have that same culture of flexibility they have when it comes to projects. They may jump around and touch on many different things without resolving anything right away. Negotiations can have very high or low offers from the initial one. So the company should be prepared to build in a little cushion for these situations. Nigerians also employ misdirecting tactics to give themselves any advantage in a discussion. Being ready for that and not being offended or mirroring those behaviors is very important. One last big thing that is important when negotiating is to remember that Nigerian people are very indulgent and they care about building a relationship. So the company should take the time to entertain if possible and build that relationship so there's more trust going into the collaboration. Moving into the political and legal side of Nigeria, the Federal Republic of Nigeria runs a lot like the US, with judicial, legislative, and executive branches. And the president acts as the head of state, the head of government, and the head of the multi-party system. A foreseeable issue with their government is the fact that the Nigerian government switches from a northern candidate to a southern candidate every other president. This could either help or hurt the company because there may be different views between succeeding presidents about what should happen with certain laws. For example, if the president were to change rules for or against the oil industry, it could greatly affect the gross domestic product growth rate, which can affect our company. President Muhammadu Buhari is Muslim, so he will uphold the Islamic or Sharia law in Nigeria along with the common law, English law, and customary law. And it's important to know that because sometimes those laws don't all mesh together. And it's important to note that the Islamic law, because it is a religious law that's upheld by the country, and it should obviously be respected. Nigeria is ranked below average on the Index of Economic Freedom because they have a lot of corruption with the judicial and government systems. President Buhari is looking to crush corruption, but in 2016, his ban of corrupted banks had a negative effect on foreign currency deals. So if we want to invest in Nigeria, we need to be careful with what banks are deemed corrupted to avoid our foreign currency deals from falling through. The fact that their immigration for industrialization numbers are down means that they don't have many imports from their fellow Northeast African states, which is potentially good news for us to import products and services into Nigeria. Nigeria's tariffs are determined by the Economic Union of West African States, 2015 to 2019 CET book, which has these 5 bands. Effective rates are considered to be high due to the fact that the Nigerian government can apply any additional charges on imports. Though they have that power, the effective rate may not exceed 70%, but it's definitely something to look out for. There are many obstacles that companies face when importing goods. A lot of importers report erratic applications of customs regulations, lengthy clearance procedures, high berthing and unloading costs, and corruption. Some ships can expect to wait days or maybe even weeks to be able to berth and unload. Now, talking about incentives, tax incentives are offered to those who have qualified investment projects. The pioneer status is a tax incentive that is used to allow certain businesses to a tax holiday for 3 years and has the ability to be renewed for an additional 2. And this tax incentive is one of the most abused incentives that Nigeria has to offer. And as we move forward with planning our new venture, we should be cautious of recent setbacks to Nigeria's economy. The overall stability of the country is highly dependent on the oil industry. When oil prices fell during 2015-2016, Nigeria slipped into recession with a negative GDP growth rate in 2016. The country is beginning to recover, albeit very slowly. One factor that's limiting Nigeria's economic recovery is rising inflation. This will have particular impact on our business venture. As we look for products to market in Nigeria, we will need to be aware of the people's limited resources and how that ties in with inflation and deflation. The rising prices on retail goods means that Nigerians have less money to spend. Another consideration for a venture is the falling exchange rate. The Nigerian naira has been steadily depreciating when compared to the US dollar over the last 5 years. If this trend continues, we could see a significant decrease in our profits when we bring them back to the US. To protect our company from potential drops in the exchange rate, we suggest using a forward contract with our local bank to secure a guaranteed rate. Okay. This water bottle could be used in multiple markets because everyone needs access to clean drinking water. We could create a simple plastic design and an elite line that can offer different styles so that our product can appeal to many socioeconomic classes. The majority of the Nigerian people don't have a lot of resources, including water and money. So we would need to provide something that everyone could afford. It would be amazing to create a social media marketing campaign that charges a premium for the elite bottles to help get potable water to those who may not have access to clean drinking water. And having replacement filters would make it so we could also generate a continuing revenue stream. We believe a solar cell charger will be a success in Nigeria because of the growing popularity of social media there. Nigeria doesn't have very reliable power sources, so this could provide an opportunity for us to serve an underserved market. For their convenience, it would be best to sell these through a series of licensed kiosks in local markets because most chargers are only available online. Making this immediately available will do wonders with Nigeria's current high indulgence scale and their want to connect on Facebook and Twitter. One of the problems with doing business in Nigeria is the fact that Nigeria's power grid is getting old and is definitely unreliable. We chose to integrate battery storage to the solar cells to provide reliability by holding enough electricity to account for when the sun isn't shining or when the power isn't working. We also chose a scalable option We also chose a scalable option so our customers could use at the least a 200-watt PV panel for small homes, or we could scale up for the needs of the business. The inability for the government to provide its citizens with power creates an underserved market and a great opportunity. And that's it. Thanks for watching our slideshow, and I hope you enjoyed it. And have a good night.